Hello and welcome to another edition of RSF Radio. I am your host, Joe Monday, and I'm actually joined by a returning guest. You may know her casually as Ginny Lou. You may know her professionally as Virginia Glaze, or you might know her on Twitter as Bison's X-Top-Doll. EX-Top-Doll.
It's EX.
I know, I always mess up that last because it was just ingrained in my brain for so long because you read something forever and it just turns into one thing. And then you hear someone say it out loud for the first time, and it just breaks your whole worldview. Jenny, how you doing?
I am doing great. I have a glass of peach-flavored champagne, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm doing well. I'm relaxed.
Hold the phone. Peach
It
champagne?
is really good.
That's.
I would share some with you if you were here, but you're not, so it's all mine.
I don't know if I'm okay with that. Is it sweet? It sounds sweet.
It's definitely sweet, but it's not overwhelming. But I do feel like
Too sweet for me. Born on Valentine's Day. I need sugar.
I was like, I definitely need 12 glasses of water after finishing half a glass. So it's very syrupy feeling, I guess.
Oh, that's great for a podcast. The things that dry you out are the best. That's what they don't tell you in radio, folks, is you got to dry out the vocal cords. That's actually...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just this you don't get this voice without, years and years of just eating cigarettes. Trust me. It's coffee and cigarettes. You just eat them right up. You line them up and you just, with fork and knife, and it's a whole thing.
That sounds like the best diet. Why aren't you a professional voice actor by now? What's going on with you?
That's a conversation for a different time. But we should start out with a conversation about that fucking intro.
Oh, the song, yes.
And when I say that fucking intro, I mean that fucking intro.
That fucking...
Dude, that is...
Yo, let's talk about Let's Get It On. No, Let's Get It On.
That is some fucking music, if I've ever heard it. So what that was... And I actually, you opened my mind to this, you opened my ears to this, I suppose, because I don't listen. When I play fighting games, I am all audio off 100% of the time. I have no audio when I play fighting games, mostly because if you're at a tournament or whatever, you typically don't get audio cues, or there isn't any headsets, or you're tied to the monitor, and it's just not guaranteed. So right. I've just always split my brain into, okay, so let's just assume the worst case scenario and just have a visual. So I just shut all the audio off and forget about it. But apparently, something that no one told me, the music in Street Fighter V is pretty tight. It's pretty
There's
good.
some, I wouldn't say in its entirety it's wonderful. I think that I don't want to say it's hit and miss, but I think there's a large amount of really good songs and there's a large amount of forgettable songs.
That's fair.
For instance, I don't know, the Lair of the Four Kings, no one cares about that. There is some definitely stages and characters that nobody's going to know. But the songs that Street Fighter V does have that are memorable there's a lot of them and they're very good. Mm-hmm. Case in point, that intro song that we just did was fantastic. I remember I was going through the new arcade mode and I went through Street Fighter 3 to play Urian, and I was like, what is this song? And I had to sit there and listen to it, and then I immediately looked it up on YouTube, and it was the best thing I ever found. It was great.
It's really good.
Speaking of music, I actually got to interview one of the guys who wrote some of the music for Street Fighter V recently, 2 days ago. Yes, It was amazing. His name is Daniel Lindholm, and he wrote Zeku's theme song. If you guys don't know, that song is super funky. It's one of everyone's favorite theme songs.
It's a pretty good one.
It's great.
He also...
No, he didn't. So he only did season 3 characters so far, but he also did the music for A Shadow Falls, the cinematic story. So there's 2 really good bops in that one as well. But he did Ed, he did Cody, he did Cody's new theme song. He did Minat. So he did all those characters, and he's doing one more of the 2 characters that are left. He did one of them. So I don't know if we're talking Sagat or G. He wouldn't tell me because he has those NDAs, But it was super enlightening to talk to him about how he makes music, because apparently Capcom will give him a packet, a little information packet with concept art and footage of the character in motion in alpha, and then like a little written segment about like their story and like how they would talk, but he doesn't get voice clips. So all of this leads him to be like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do that. And he doesn't really have like a theme to go with. The only character he said that he definitely had something that he had to do was Cody, because he used Turn the Beat Back from Cody's Street Fighter 4 theme song for his new one. But otherwise, like he said that Zeku was 100% him, and he was like, yeah, like I thought about Zeku and I thought, what genre of music aren't people listening to these days? Because he's an old guy, and he was like, disco. So he did like funk music for Zeku, and it turned out really well. And he actually has 2 unreleased versions that didn't make it into the game on YouTube if you want to watch them, and I can link them.
Oh shit, for you. That's super good. The stories around Street Fighter and just Street Fighter in general and music are like super
crazy, right?
And like historically super interesting.
Yeah, because like you had the Street Fighter. Yeah, like the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack. You're gonna talk about Yoko Shimomura, who like walked into Capcom having no practice in making music whatsoever, but she just came in being like, yes, I can make and will make the music. And they were just like, well, I mean, she said she could, so. And then she did it and like ended up birthing some of the most iconic songs in history.
I know. So, I mean, it's so good. That's such a good
Street Fighter is an interesting animal like that, I think. Just like all around it, we have interesting things happen. And it just gets ingrained into the history, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sticks with you forever.
Oh, yeah.
No, and music is like tied to that too, because like, have you ever had that thing where you tie a certain song or album or certain music to times in your life where it's
yes.
Oh man, like
you have that one song
to a detriment you like sometimes. Have like I just can't listen. Yeah, there's albums I cannot listen to anymore.
This reminds me of you, and I hate you now.
Yeah, it's too much hurt. But with the Street Fighter, it's like too many good times tied to these so many good songs.
Exactly. I will listen to the Street Fighter Cross Tekken soundtrack just to like relive my college days and be like, oh yes, I remember playing this game like until 3 a.m. with my friends. You know, that was like the good time. So I definitely like totally understand what you mean.
SFXT is a good game.
It is a good game. God damn it! It's a great game.
It became good. The last version, it was.
I would say it became good.
Actually, really good. But regardless, what else have you got going on? I'm sure you've been up to stuff in between the last time that we've talked, which was a couple weeks ago.
I wanted to start out by saying Colorado, which is where I live now. I've only lived here for a couple months, but they had a tragedy recently where 3 of the FGC members got in a really terrible car accident, and one of them passed away, unfortunately. And it was really cool to see the entire fighting game community kind of rally behind that group. So they came together and had a charity tournament, which was a couple weeks ago, at Akihabara Arcade, which is a great arcade. I love it so much. It is so cool. They recently expanded, so they have another room with like a stage and a streaming station and everything, and they have a bar. It's great. And it was really cool to see their entire community come together and compete in these like random tournaments. It was a celebration of life, which I think is what it should be. Like having all of your friends come together and play fighting games in your honor, you know, and hold a tournament in your honor. And there was like a raffle with like a ton of prizes. There were just random tournaments and people were playing casuals. It was a really good time. So I just want to shout out the Colorado FGC for that. Like these people there's like a rich history in the Colorado FGC, especially for Tekken. And these guys were Tekken players. So that was huge. And then just like their spirit and like how dedicated they are, like every single local tournament that they have is packed. The people really care. So that's what I like about the Colorado FGC. But that tournament came and went, and it was a really good experience. And I really enjoyed it. So if you guys are ever in the area of Denver or Westminster, you should totally go to Akihabara. It is definitely like a must go. But I went to that, and that was awesome.
No, that's cool. That actually reminded me. I think I ran a promo for them when we were running the FGC Spotlights of the Week. People like kind of died down in promoting their own locals, so I kind of backed off of that. But I think there's audio and video of me pushing that scene. It's one of those things that you'd said it out loud, but like those, which like goes to show you that those TOs in that community is like all about moving their community forward. So like it's fucking rad.
Yeah, and it's definitely like it to me really embodied the whole FGC is family, you know, slogan that is thrown around. But like that kind of really solidified it for me. Because like you had all these people show up, and that was just like, it warmed my heart. Because like I didn't know those guys at all, but like, you know, they're part of the FGC, so your heart hurts. And then you go and you see all this love, and it was like, oh my god, you know. So it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's one of those things that really breaks my heart sometimes. That like I have always seen the FGC step up in almost every case. Like I can't tell you how many medical GoFundMes I've donated to or have seen posted through either Twitter or even going back to like the SRK4, like so much. Like in almost every case, it's just been this person's taken care of from a community of people who probably have never even met them, but like know that they're doing a good service to their own community through fighting games. Yeah. It's just one of those like little like, I don't know. It always warms my heart to see that, and is always like ultimately tragic where I'm like, fucking comes to this, man. This is awful that like its own already like pretty poor community itself has to step up and make this happen. But that's a political conversation for another political podcast. This is not RSF politics. That's another radio show that I do. But you were going to say, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just going to say, other than going to the locals, which there's another one this Saturday that I will hopefully be attending. I've been working on a cosplay, and I'm really excited about it. There's some pictures coming soon that will be like photoshopped really cool with like psycho power and stuff. But
okay, cool.
I'm working on a cosplay of Julie from Alpha 3. So I am super in love with it. I really like Julie a lot, it goes against my principles, but I really like her. And so to be able to cosplay her, because she looks
I'm sorry, what are your principles? What are my is it okay for me to ask that question? I don't know. What are your cosplay principles?
It's my principle is that I hate all of the dolls for, you know, reasons.
Okay.
But Julie, it's funny because
I mean, they're practically like, bison, though.
No, they're not. Anyway, anyway, Joe, let's not get into this. I thought it was funny because there's no Street Fighter character that's a white girl with brown hair, is there? There's no white girls with brown hair in Street Fighter.
I picked a chin alt one time.
You what?
I picked Chun-Li has brown hair.
She's not white. She's Asian.
I suppose that's true.
So anyway, I was looking and I was like, oh, Julie is white with brown hair. And I looked at her like lineage, and she is German and Native American, which is my exact ethnicity. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I was like, I have to cosplay this character now. So I did. And I'm working on like 2 little things, but she's going to be ready for Evo, and I'm so excited. So she will make her debut then. And I might bring my other cosplay, but I don't think I will. It's really cumbersome. So, yeah, that's all I've been up to recently.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You got a lot going on. There's a lot going on the front page of our Street Fighter lately, which is what this podcast is about. We kind of got a lot of wheels turning. I kind of have to cover a couple things. The first thing I want to talk about, we made a post basically covering the changes that the front page has made. A lot of it is sidebar related stuff. So like you'll notice if you're on the front page and you're browsing with like on your computer and not on your phone, because none of this affects the phone, even though like half the users come from the phone. That's whatever. If you look at the sidebar, there's the calendar, which is provided by SRK. So shouts to them.
Awesome.
And there's like this beta live stream list, which is like the people who are right now. It only covers Street Fighter V. It might expand more than that, but for what it is right now, that's what the streams that we're linking. So it's like top streams and also like some randoms. So it's not just like the best of the best. It's also like, here's someone with like no viewers. See what's good. Then below that, you'll see just a tournament search, just a general tournament search. So if you're thinking, I wonder if there's any tournaments tonight, or if they're like, maybe I just want to compete a little bit with some random people, you can search through Challenge, Smash.gg, and Battlefy, and you click on any of those links, it'll take you to all tournament searches for Street Fighter V currently. Again, another thing where if you want that to expand, general to the community, if you want that to expand, that might be something we can extend in the future, but for right now, it's just Street Fighter V. The other thing I want to bring up, the Matcherino. I drop El Chicote, Tiga, and Neon. We're still pretty far away from those goals, but t-shirt sales are going good, so grab some merch, cop some merch.
Also, all of those guys are amazing. I love all of them. El Chicote and Neon I'm friends with, so please support them. They're super great players. They're great guys. 100%.
Yeah, a lot of charisma and just really strong players in general. So, like, it would be an honor. Not an honor for me to be a part of that, but also I think it's great that the community has surrounded themselves around this, like, that level of player who's like just needs that little extra oomph to become like main stage, like, because they are main, like they can compete with best of the best. It's just they need that little extra push to get there sometimes, and I think that's really what what sponsorship drives like this, or at least what I try to have that be the kind of message of that. Also, side note, and this is unrelated and not written down on a list of things to talk about, but Cap is also running a sponsorship for Fab right now, FAB. And if you like Guilty Gear and you like Potemkin and you're a grappler apologist like I am, please go donate to that. Please. I want to get Fab over here to Evo. It's going to be dope as fuck. No, and that's mostly run by Majin Obama, as you know. But that's... I'm not going to link to that, but if you search those words, I'm sure it'll show.
If you search those words.
This is not a Guilty Gear podcast. but what if it was a Potemkin-related podcast?
What if it was a Potemkin-only podcast?
Yeah,
Think about it.
I'd be okay with that. What else? So also the Local Fighters Network is something that's like, I've been toying around with this idea, and maybe you can lend some insight to this for me, where it basically is reliant on tournament organizers around basically the world to submit tournament results. Only top 4. That's really all we're asking, is basically submit like where you are located, any additional information to help people find you, and then who placed 1st through 4th and who they played and if they're sponsored. That's it. And I feel like if enough people are regularly submitting their tournament results, I think that can give like a pretty good, like, here's the state of locals right now. Especially if you like, because I have a list of all these locals in the wiki right now on our Street Fighter, but it's like so many of them have changed location or have like changed time, or they don't get together anymore. So it's like, well, if you looked at this list, you could see, oh, these guys met last week. This is their information, so I'll just click on that and I'll be good. So it also lets you know like who's active right now in the community, because like it can sometimes be a passing thing. Not all regions have solid communities that meet every week, but I feel like that information alone could be pretty useful. I don't know.
Wow, you have stuff from El Salvador. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all this.
There's not a ton of results right now, at least not the last time I looked. So we're kind of waiting on pooling results in from, I mean, it's only been a couple days, so like I don't know how many people are running locals on Tuesday. I don't know. But with that said, even so, just we're trying to think about different ways to present that information other than just raw data, like some kind of searchable list, or maybe attached to some other separate website, something that would be more useful to the local communities at large, or just everybody at large. I don't know. It's just some thoughts that I think could be useful. I
think it's a great idea. I think it's ambitious, but I'm a huge fan of local. Like my local in Oklahoma, I love dearly. So I think local tournaments and scenes are what make up the FGC. Without local tournaments, we wouldn't have esports. So, I'm definitely a fan of this idea. I think that if we got more people behind it, it would be a huge thing.
Yeah, that's the issue.
It's like a way to unite all the locals.
Yes, that's like the idea, that it's the local network. But like, I'm not a marketer. I'm basically just like,
why aren't you a marketer, John?
I have a milk crate, and I've been standing on top of it for like all weekend just yelling about this, but like my neighbor, he's very Italian, he doesn't understand. He's a very old Italian man. He hasn't played. I don't believe he's ever touched a video game in his life. I think he's up in his 80s.
Wow. Okay.
He's like 4.5 feet tall, and he has the best garden I've ever seen. But he is tired of me yelling about these locals. He just doesn't care.
You're disturbing the peace, Joe. Okay,
I really am.
You need to disturb the peace of the internet.
In all fairness, his wind chime is disturbing my peace, so fuck him anyway.
Is it a cute wind chime though? Does it look nice?
No, man. Like any wind chime, that's just like.
You don't like wind chimes?
That's audible guard. I didn't sign on to this. Also, bless his heart, I thoroughly love having the neighbors that I have. Pascal's he's a good dude. His
name's Pascal. Oh my god.
You call him Patsy. But,
I love your neighbor.
No, he's first generation Italian. Like when I say he's Italian, like I mean he is Italian. Like the man is from Italy. He's the best. He's great. But anyway, this is not Pascal, our Pascal, RSF radio.
It's not talking about Joe's neighbors.
No, that's not what this is for. We need to move on. So that's all the stuff that's been going on with our Street Fighter. But CEO happened this weekend. Did you catch any of CEO? I
did. I watched a little. I didn't watch any of the wrestling show, but I did watch I watched day 2 of Pools a little bit, and then I watched Top 8.
Mm-hmm. So I think all of the top 8s were pretty exciting. Tekken in particular was really good.
Tekken was great. Dragon Ball was great. I don't even really keep up with Dragon Ball too much, but I definitely watched it and I thought it was great. I think Street Fighter V suffered from the everything's running behind and we're the last game syndrome.
Yeah.
So everyone was super tired and also trying to party because there was an after party apparently. So everyone was trying to go do that. And so, the crowd had kind of filtered out, and it was a pretty samey top 8. There wasn't a lot of character variety. There was a lot of Asian players from Asia. There was only one American and one European player who I was rooting for. Mm-hmm. But I think Street Fighter kind of suffered from that a bit. But otherwise, top 8s were great.
Xiaohai and Fujimura played very well.
Yeah, Fujimura. Yeah, he took that 3-0, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's nuts.
And up to that point, Xiaohai had been, kind of on a tear. I feel like he had just been playing out of his mind, but Fujimura was just like...
But, I mean, he's playing Kim.
He's fucking Superman. He was unbelievable. Too good.
Yeah. I was like, anybody but Kimmy, please take this.
Yeah, that's kind of the other thing that has kind of taken over the narrative a lot, and I tend to agree with it, and everyone tends to agree with it. That
it's even worse because Cammy is my least favorite character. She's always been my least favorite character.
Oh,
so
really?
Seeing this is now she's top tier and everyone's playing her, and I hate this person.
Jealous much?
Shut up, Joe.
Gotta respect the lore.
I'm not respecting any lore.
Anyway. No, I mean I get it though, because she just has some things that are somewhat broken about her, or not not explicitly broken, but just feel particularly scummy in a way. Her stand light kick in particular. They added pushback on her crouch light kick, but didn't add it to her stand light kick. And when I read that in the last patch notes, I was like, come on, fuck this. You gotta know this is kind of busted.
It's interesting to play against characters that have all the tools against characters that don't have all the tools. So you go up against a bad matchup and you're like, oh, dang it. I don't have tools for this. If you're Bison, you don't have wicket pressure, you don't have corner pressure. And you get pressured and you're like, oh, God. And then everyone says, oh, I don't have anti-airs. And so you're fucked. Yeah. I'm not apologizing for Bison because I know he has bullshit. But.
No, you can be a Bison apologist on this podcast. I accept any and all bias. That's totally fine. Zangief, please put Zangief in Street Fighter V. Put him back in the game. Capcom, please. Also, in all honesty, if you think Vega is not the worst character in the game, you're smoking something, because Vega is very, very bad.
Poor Vega.
It turned out bad. But CEO itself, quite the production. New Japan World Wrestling. Did I get that right?
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I stumbled over my own words there, not looking at the title. But yeah, they showed up, did a show, which is not like I feel like I talked about this on a couple of podcasts ago, but like the Venn diagram of people who love wrestling and people who love fighting games is basically a single circle. Which I don't know. It's cool that someone could pull off something like that, and I'm sure there's a lot of technical difficulties involved with that. So that's a win. They also have some great intros. Romanova, who was on last week's podcast, showed up for Knuckle Dew's intro.
She was amazing. I loved her. She did such a good job.
The only gripe I had, she could have hit that dude with the chair much harder.
You know, she told me that. She was like, yeah, I'm kind of regretting that I didn't do that. And she was like, it was just kind of like a pat. And I was like, yeah, but I mean,
she really could have potatoed that guy. And
I feel like she could have actually hit him and it would have been fine.
The thing is, well, I don't know. She's pretty strong. I feel like if anyone could like hit someone with a chair and like actually cause physical damage to someone who is like not ready for it, I think she's probably one who could. But also, I think she could have hit him a lot harder.
It's definitely like she like thought about it and then she did it, and I was like, oh.
I mean, the dude sold it. He sold it well, and he was
like, oh no, oh my god.
He did a good reaction shot to it, but at the same time, he could have worn that crimson mask hard way, and it would have been okay, as far as I'm concerned. With that wrestling lingo, let's go. I don't even really like wrestling, but I just think the lingo is dumb and fun to use sometimes. But no, intros were cool. Infiltration's intro was inspiring, let's say, to say the least.
Yo, throwing them dollars. He's balling. Sponsored by his wallet.
No, that was Knuckle Dew.
Oh wait, sorry, I thought you said Knuckle Dew. I'm sorry. Who did we talk about? You said Infiltration.
Infiltration.
Jesus, I've had too much of the champagne.
The Val Venus intro.
Yes, that was so funny. I was like, oh my god, Infiltration, stop.
Where did he find a towel that small?
I was very concerned about what was underneath the towel. I was like, oh god, please no. Like, what is this? And then he took off into his shorts, and I was like, oh thank god.
I was hoping it was like a crossover Pan-Chan thing. You know how like I've been like pushing the.
That was super cute too. Yeah,
it's fun. That's some good dumb fun that the internet can have sometimes. And I was hoping to see some anime hot pants. But we did not get to see anime hot pants, unfortunately.
For shame.
Yeah, for shame. But that was CEO. The other thing that we could talk about with CEO, or at least touch on, I think something that we can tack on to the end of this, which is kind of pertinent to that venue and that tournament going forward, because from my understanding is that they've signed at least a 2-year contract with that venue. So it's going to be in Daytona for at least next year. And what a lot of people ran into, and a lot of reports is that there was a lot of bigotry and racism kind of running rampant. If you think, when I say running rampant, if you think about the scale of what went on this weekend, just a small portion of the fighting game community, a couple hundred people show up, and even in that small sect of people are running into racism like that. Even that like small sample size of people is experiencing racism. It's a fucking problem.
It really disturbed me. I went to Daytona before CEO Otaku last year, and whenever I went, of course, I'm a white person. I did not experience any of that. And then, I went and toured the venue and I saw everything. And hearing people talk about it, like, was wow, Like, that really, first of all, that hurt my feelings, because for everyone else, because I was like, wow, like, of course I didn't experience this, I'm white, and it really makes me angry that my friends who are people of color or transgender or, whatever their sexuality is, like, are experiencing this stuff is really heartbreaking, and I saw all the tweets about it, and it just, like, really blew my mind that this many people in the fighting game community experienced that. Like, just seeing the, like, number of tweets that happened. Because, like, you had Sonic Fox speaking out about it. You had Don talking about it. You had other people talking about it. And it was just crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, just the amount of reports on it were staggering. Yeah. Because it's like, it's this small portion of people within the fighting game community. And then, to that end, a small portion of people who are just on Twitter talking about it. And the people who are like openly okay with talking about that on Twitter. So it's like, that's a small sample size. And even so, it's like, wow, that is one too many. And by one too many, I mean I saw one and that was too many. Like, kind of insane. But
But apparently Daytona is also like renowned for being incredibly racist.
Sure.
I had no idea, but I didn't know about that. I had no idea. And then saw some people tweet about it, like, yeah, isn't Daytona known for being totally racist? And then citing all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I had no idea.
And it's one of those things where the obvious answer for the FGC and the community as a whole is, okay, talk about moving venue, talk about first, right? And if that's not possible to keep your players from feeling safe and your attendees from feeling safe at your event, talk about security or talk about ways to curb that. It's hard to just change an entire community with just one event, but like number one is player safety. So like obviously yes, like it would make sense to pursue that avenue first.
Right. And then then you have people who are like, well, I don't want to just stay in the venue all day, walk around, but then they feel unsafe walking around, and it's like, well, you can't change the whole city's culture,
right.
In maybe a year. You can't really do that, and it sucks now that all this stuff is kind of becoming more prominent. Right. So it's just awful, and there's not much. I mean, I have sympathy for like the fact that it's hard to fix that. Like it's really hard unless you have like security at your venue. But can you have them walk around? Like no, like you can't. So I understand that kind of situation, and it was something that maybe the people scouting the area and Alex, they wouldn't have experienced. And so you get all the FGC, which is the most diverse community within all of esports, in one area that is very closed-minded and racist and whatever. Like, oh snap, that becomes a problem. And so obviously taking care of the issue is obviously first on his mind, and I think it's a good thing that he's addressing it the way that he did. And I think he'll do whatever he can. And
I think to that end, though, is that if you are hearing this and you saw things like that and you are taken aback by that, or you find it despicable, I would say don't just go to Twitter and yell about it, because it's almost very easy to just have that be an outlet and just say, fuck bigots forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, very easy to do. I could do that, and that would make me feel good, and probably the entirety of everyone who follows feel good and just seeing that and being like, yes, like I'm in agreement. But also, if you say that, it doesn't actually, I feel like it doesn't help the problem at all, or at least like raising awareness that like places like this do exist. But there are also like places that you could donate to that, per se, like if that's something that you would want to pursue, that would help educating communities or community integration and things like that. There are a number of different outlets that you can go to that are outside of just being angry about it, but like having something to do with that energy that can. And I know that this is like pretty far off and away from just talking about Street Fighter stuff, even though this is a Street Fighter podcast. But hey, this is just something that happens to. Hey, it's weird when racism intersects with the world of Street Fighter in a weird way. That like.
Yeah, and it's just really it's just like one of the things that champions our community is our diversity, and I think it's a very important thing, and that's why I love it. Like that's one of the main reasons why I love the FGC so much. Because like I come from a really small town in Oklahoma where everybody's white. So like for me, the FGC was like, wow, it's like this gateway to this whole new world. And like I make so many new friends from all these different places around the world. And that makes me feel great. And so to see my friends being treated like this really hurts my soul. And like it makes me angry. And so like, we play video games a lot and we talk about video games a lot. That's what we do. But we also should be politically involved.
Yeah, it's like someone came at me and was like, I just love it when politics mixes with my video games. And it's like, my man, you can't avoid it now. Like,
yeah.
If you think that you can avoid things from being political in 2018, the year of our Lord, like, fuck out of here with that opinion, man, because guess what? Like, like elections have consequences. Like, sorry, right. But like that's the situation we're in, which is unfortunate. So we're going to. I'm just gonna. Anything else you want to touch upon on CEO before I pull a sharp Yui out of this conversation?
No, I'm fine. I'm totally good.
Okay, fuck bigots forever. Moving on. Tokyo Game Show, CPT, premiere.
Oh yeah.
There's some bonkers rewards for this, right?
Yeah, you get an esports license and you get lots of money.
Dude, way more money than has ever been. I don't know if I can say that out. I was going to say way more money than has ever been rewarded for any Japanese tournament. Because they were like limited in terms of what they could give away because it was considered gambling. But now with the esports licenses, they can now.
It's still kind of a whack system, though.
Yeah. So like, if you want to,
it takes away the whole concept of open entry tournaments.
We've talked about this when we talked on the show. Not you and I, but I talked about this when we covered Momochi's response to the esports licenses.
I loved his response. I was like,
oh! Very well thought out. If you want to look at that for like having a nuanced opinion on what is potentially bad about, because he also covers like what is good about this. Because it's not all bad. Like it's just a little weird. And a little awkward.
Wrote about that for Red Bull last year or whenever that happened. Can't remember.
You know what? I might have been referencing your story when I talked about it. So
oh boy.
Yeah. Who knows? You've been so prolific in terms of writing that, you know, how can you remember all the things you write down? It's hard to do something.
You know, there are sometimes whenever I'm like, I'll be updating my portfolio or my like writing resume, and I'm like, let me go back, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I did write that. Oh yeah, I did write this.
No.
Sometimes I don't know, and then you mention stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did write about that. I go back to that time.
But Tokyo Game Show, the CPT event. So this is kind of interesting to me that.
You know, I was wondering, maybe we can expect a character reveal, maybe?
I guess that would make sense, right? Because
hold on, when is Tokyo Game Show? Let me look at this.
Ooh, I need a calendar.
Hold on.
Good thing I have one of those.
September 22nd, maybe.
Fuck, your internet's faster than I am.
We can definitely expect one at EVO. I'm assuming one for CG.
Definitely one for EVO, and then
gonna CG, and then probably like a little Sagat, maybe. Here's my thing. I really wish.
Please.
I hope that they have like the better trailers where it's like the one that we have with Cody, where it's like really in depth and like teases something like else at the end. Yeah. Like okay, let's go back to the very first. Like Chun-Li's trailer for Street Fighter V, whenever that came out, it ended, and then you saw Bison like laugh and like the Psycho Power kind of light up in the dark. That was so fucking cool. Like I wish we'd see more of that. So I'm hoping that G will have like a really boss ass trailer for EVO. I'm hoping so.
I forgot about that stuff. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense because we know all the characters right now, but at the same time, like they could still make it like a tag at the end being like, haha, it's Nick Fury at the end. Kind of like that shit where it's like you already know what's going to happen at the end, but it's like, aha, did you see Sam Jackson? Did you see him? Did you wait? Because that was fun. I remember like watching, I forget which announcement it was when Nakali was teased at the end of it, and everyone was like going fucking crazy. They're like, it's Akuma. No, it's E Honda, and they're like, no, it's something else. Look at this thing. It's obviously it's like the Nakali, which no one could have ever guessed, obviously,
because he was a new boy.
Yeah, obviously. But I don't know, that could be cool. But regardless, so back to Tokyo Game Show. This
website looks amazing. It
is really interesting that they're rewarding these Jesu licenses. Every time that I see Jesu, which is Japan Esports Union, every time I see it, I'm like, someone just misspelled Jesus.
I know, right? I always think of that. I'm like, Jeshua? Are we talking about Jesus?
Yeah, we talk about Jesu. We talk about Jeshua. It's kind of like the old way of saying it. I'm like, and I cannot change that from my mind, and it hurts me on the inside.
Me either. I was like, I'm growing up like a conservative, and it was.
Yup. I can't remove it from my brain. Even though I want to. But so every time I see it, that they're rewarding pro licenses, top 8,
which is like a really cool like incentive, don't you think? Like compete, and if you win, you can be a pro.
But at the same time, it's also like kind of fucking brutal that like
people
who already have
if you want to be a pro. I know, right? I'm like, wait.
Beat the pros, which, like, to some degree, there's like a meritocracy to that, which is like, okay, but also, like, That's not how the FGC is. I mean, that is kind of how it's been in Japan for years and years, but like not how it's been in America, at least, or other regions.
Yeah.
Where like you need to have a license in order to
compete
in tournaments.
I'm just looking at this fucking statue of Bison on the Tournament of Power, and I think his teeth look like he has grill on, like a grill on his mouth. And I'm just like, oh, why did you make Bison such a gangster? Looks like a gangster.
His teeth have always been whack.
Because he has great teeth. He's got that Colgate smile. Anyway, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that tournament though, because that's some fucking stakes.
Yeah, it is.
Career level stakes.
I would like to go to that. That'd be so much fun. There's like a lot of stuff going on in September, isn't there? There's this. Yeah. There's First Attack in Puerto Rico. There's SoCal Regionals. There's everything.
It's gonna be a crazy month. So moving on to the next topic. That's enough of that. Let's move on to moving away from locals and tournaments. Let's talk about some good online competition. How do you feel about online competition? What was your last netcode experience like with Street Fighter 5?
I played casuals yesterday, and
what
I had a good time. On? What do you mean? Shut up, Joe.
What system?
Oh, I played on PS4.
Because that matters, as it turns out.
Yeah, it does matter. And I did have one match that was super laggy, and so I declined. But all the rest of the ones that I played were decent. Like, it was fine.
Okay.
So I had a pretty good experience the last time that I played, which was yesterday.
So a couple of days ago, this video posted by Sun Tzu, but the video is from Digital Halftones. 18 subscribers. This video only has like 3,500 views. But what they did was they broke down exactly what is happening whenever a PS4 and a PC play together. And it was kind of enlightening in terms of what the systems are doing. So he played them. At first, there was no lag, and it played fine. Like, it was basically 1-to-1 on each system. Then he introduced a little bit of lag on the PC, and you saw some jittery one-sided rollback. And it's like, well, okay, but he only introduced 150 milliseconds of lag, which is only... how many frames is that? Someone do the math? I used to know. I think it's only like 8 frames or something like. No, I can't say that out loud. I need a calculator. I've never been in more dire need of a calculator.
There's a calculator on your PC.
Yeah, I know, and I'm on my PC right now. But regardless, introduced 150 frames or milliseconds of lag. Not a lot. Like, that's not a lot. And there was automatically rollback. And then the interesting thing was that if he left that lag in between the rounds, in the next round, the PS4 would introduce a little bit of like fake lag to round out the PC lag, and the PC would get like marginally better. But because the PC was lagging and there was one-sided rollback, it did a weird like, okay, this round was totally fine. So like this has happened to me before where it's like you have one round that's totally fine, and then the next round you're like, oh, that one kind of didn't feel good. And this would explain it. It's like, so let's say there's like a lag spike in between your rounds, then it's like both systems, the PS4 and the PC, are trying to make up for that in some weird way and meet in the middle, even if like you mostly have a solid connection. So it's like if you ended something with a bad connection, that could cause really bad situation for the next round. It's super funky, and he does a full explanation of it in a tight 6 minutes. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how and why the particular netcode of Street Fighter V is junk, then I highly recommend looking that up. That's one of those like fucked up things, right? And we could talk about this later, and I actually plan on talking about this later. That like Street Fighter, it's one of those things where Street Fighter V is like one of it's the only fighting game, as far as my knowledge goes, that has cross-platform play,
right?
Which is like fantastic. But then the netcode's junk. It's booty butt cheeks. It's like, here's this great thing, but also
I'm gonna fuck it up in the worst possible way.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe in like a couple of years it'll be fixed, or maybe they're working on it. I don't know. I hope so, but that's just another thing, folks. Kind of a bummer, but you know what's not a bummer?
What is not a bummer, Joe?
Third Strike. It's a good game. Third Strike is a good game. And if you're wondering where you can find Third Strike, someone posted this map. It's the Shend. Posted this map on our Street Fighter of where all the Third Strike is.
That's beautiful. Wow! I know somebody who would like.
It's so good. Look at that. You can like zoom in and see where all the Third Strike is. Oh, it has like locations. We had Automatic talking the other day about North Carolina, and like, he's not lying. There's a lot of Third Strike in North Carolina.
There's a lot of Third Strike in Europe.
I mean, look at all that Third Strike. I mean, people can't see. I don't know. I actually don't have the video portion showing this map right now, but like, man's not lying. There's a lot of that. But it's like, it's super cool, right? I mean, there's one in Pittsburgh that I happen to know about. It's right on East Carson Street. Victory Point Gaming. If you ever are in town, that's where you go for the Third Strike. But yeah, it's just a super useful map that just has all the Third Strike in it. There's one in Hawaii. Look at that. You can see it out in the ocean. Where is it? Which I have to
use both of my fingers to do this. This is so.
Oh, it's on Big Island. Okay, interesting. I would have guessed it was on Oahu, but that's not the case. It's in. It's near the airport. That's all I'll say, because I am.
Have you been to Hawaii?
I'm historically terrible at saying the actual Hawaiian names, and I don't want to butcher it because that would be disrespectful. But yeah, I've been to Hawaii a couple times. Like, I just came back from Hawaii like not too long ago. Didn't we talk about? No, we probably didn't talk about that.
We didn't. I wish I had gone though. You should have met up with Tay when you were there.
Okay.
Cool. You know she's gonna be at Evo, so you guys can hang out.
Ah, word.
I'm gonna hang out with Tay.
Evo's dope as fuck. Can't wait. So, all right, folks. Now is the portion of the show where I need to bring it down and get a little bit serious, because on this podcast, I have a number of times in the past talked about I have espoused my love and affection for the gameplay stylings of Kuroda. And if you've been following the news, you would have seen that Kuroda was recently arrested for, I think, it's hard to read the translation exactly, and even talking to people, it was a combination of soliciting minors, and there was at least one account of molestation. I don't believe that it ever went to full-on rape. However, this man in his 30s, speaking to high school girls and going about his business that way, hella unacceptable. And if I ever have to talk about Kuroda again on this podcast, it will always be housed in the fact that these granted, he hasn't been charged. He has only been arrested for pending investigation. So the investigation hasn't fully been completed, but I imagine that'll go pretty quickly. And in that event, it will always be housed in the fact that he has molested high school girls, or at least one girl. And I just wanted to make that clear on this show that it's okay to separate. No, it's kind of not okay, I guess is my point. That not okay to separate like the artist from the art, right? Like, just because someone's super good at one thing should not forgive them of like their sins, basically. And I just want to say it's fucked up. I don't want to hear your arguments of she was close to 18, so she could consent. Fuck off. Below 18, that's not consent, as far as I'm concerned. So I kind of have to just put that out there, especially because I've talked about that dude a number of times on this show, and historically that dude is my favorite player. No longer. Off the list. I can't do it. I can't separate the person from the personal lifestyle, especially when it comes at the behest of dramatically altering someone's life like that. By inserting yourself into someone's life and taking advantage of them in that way is hella damaging. And in my opinion, not okay. Not cool. But that is my take on it. And it's just an unfortunate situation all around. Did you have anything to say on that, Jamie?
Yeah, I was looking at it. From what it seemed, it almost seemed like, there's a lot of speculation going on about it as well.
Right.
And so there was some reports that I was looking at that it seemed like it was the girl wanted to be with him, but then the mom found out and didn't like it. And I'm not sure what's true or what's not, because obviously the investigation has yet to prove anything. But even if that's true, I think, if you're an older man and you obviously, younger girls are attractive, and I personally like older men, but they're in high school, their brain is not ready for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think, I mean, I'm sad about the situation because it's just unfortunate, and he knew he was in the wrong. I mean, you had to know, even if that girl didn't want to be in a relationship with him, he should have backed off. It's not acceptable. Which,
Or I would even say this, if he didn't know, and maybe
even if he didn't know,
or maybe you yourself find yourself talking to a high school girl, tell a friend that is the same age as you what you're doing, gauge their reaction, and if they're actually your friend, they would say, hey, maybe you should super not do that because that's illegal, and also, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I understand, age gap relationships do exist, and they can't be healthy, as provided they're legal and the girl is or the younger person is emotionally mature, which usually isn't in high school. Jesus, it's not. Maybe out of college. So, yeah, it's an icky situation.
Yeah, and I guess I have to bring this up because, again, he was only arrested for it. He was not charged with any crimes at this point. So this is all pending investigation.
Well, and apparently he also, is known for sliding into girls' DMs and asking them, ASL, stuff like that, I guess are the Japanese equivalent of that.
Okay.
So, and he's also had problems with suicide and depression in the past.
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, it doesn't seem too far-fetched that he would do such a thing knowingly. But, he could be kind of a fiend for that thing. So I don't think it's too far off the mark to suggest that maybe he knew when he was into it,
Right. Just
which sucks because
it's unfortunate for those girls.
Yeah, and to me, this is a reflection on our scene, whether he wants to be or not, and that's what really annoys me and frustrates me, because it's this is immoral no matter who you are. But now you're listed as unemployed, and people are talking about you as a Street Fighter player. How does that make us look? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, I know that not everyone's going to think in that way, but to me, that was really.
That's not that. I saw. It's weird that you say that, because I've seen a couple people, and I don't get this, but I've seen a couple people be like, "Oh, do you think that Capcom's going to back off on the G release because he's got that Q outfit?" And I'm like, no,
I don't think so.
That's
but I did hear
far
that
removed from his whole situation that's fucking insane. It's preposterous.
I heard that during the top 8 stream at CEO, you were banned for typing Kuroda in the chat. So I think that they are well aware of it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that they are well aware of it. They don't want their brand associated. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they want that associated with them, which is, admirable.
Yeah. I didn't know that. And that's cool. That's cool that they would do that, or at least be self-aware enough to know that, hey, nope, just not, it's not where we're going to have this conversation. Okay. I think that about...
So no icky jokes about Kuroda, because that's not funny. Okay, even if you think it's funny, it's really not funny. I really hate seeing all these people making light of it and making all these jokes about it, like, haha, like, no, it's really not funny. And also people apologizing for it.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, but he's like, I'm like, what's your mentality? Like, how old are you? Just because someone's good at a game doesn't mean that they get free reign to like molest people. What in the world?
Yeah, this has happened. It's an age-old story, right? Like, I mean, we talk about like Woody Allen or any like artists like that, where it's like,
oh yeah, any actor, yeah.
You can't remove it from, at least I feel like there needs to be consequences for those actions, like sticking ones. That's not just, oh, well, you know, but he did this, where it's like, I don't care. He potentially, what could that girl have done? Like, what is that holding her back from? Like, what about that question? Does that matter more?
Yeah.
What's the human cost here? It could be more than you consider, just because you like how a dude can react to someone dashing in all the time. That could, like, listen, like, up until this point, was my favorite player of all time. I would unabashedly say that. And now, not so much. That is definitely not the tune I'm singing.
I think, I mean, I'm not gonna, I mean, obviously my judgment is still like, that's crappy if he did it, you know? There's these accusations, but until like everything comes out, I think I'll reserve my statement for then, like my judgment for then. But it's still like,
yeah, like human cost wise, like so that's the other thing, right? Is that if you are hearing this and you're thinking to yourself, I'm gonna hop on his Twitter and blow him up, that's also not the right response, because also not charged, not found guilty of a crime by jury or by any kind of investigation. That hasn't happened yet, so like fuck off with that too, because that's like,
yeah, we don't know for sure. I mean, like,
there's
like I said, it could have been the girl maybe too, you know? So like in her case, like, no, she's not emotionally mature for this, no matter how much she thinks she is. And also, like, it's still illegal. Like, if you're a minor and you solicit news of yourself to even people your age, that's illegal. So like, she should know the law. So, I mean, she's equally, I mean, if she was into it, you know, if she wanted that, like, she's equally, you know, to, you know, blame. I don't want to say like blame, but, you know, it's just like those situations are always so icky. And I don't like to think about them. But again, I'll withhold my judgment until a verdict comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I think that's a good place to end that conversation.
Yeah.
Unless you want to say, like, I don't know, anytime I've talked to like a high school girl, it's always just like, unless I give you a jacket, you look cold.
Well, here's the thing, and this is like, I am a girl who loves older men. This is known. Like, I am.
You have been vocal about that.
Yeah, I like old guys, and you know, whenever I was 20, you know, I, you know, was with a guy who was 18 years older than me, and you know, I think, was I ready for it? I mean, I think I was emotionally mature enough at that time. I was 21. Like, I was still kind of naive, but at the same time, you know, it's interesting because to me, age is like a different thing. So like, maybe I can sympathize with the girl who wanted to be with an older guy, but I can also be like, you're just a baby. Like, you aren't ready for all of this, you know?
Right.
Like, from experience. So I think that, like, I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing for me because I'm like, you know, if she did want to be with him, I sympathize, but also like, you should have known better, you know? And like, you need to grow up. Like, she does need to grow up, you know? It's not, I don't know. I don't think that
it's an interesting nuanced opinion.
Yeah. So like, you know, me being 21, I think I was prepared for it. But I think if I had been any younger, like, because a year makes a world of difference whenever you're young. Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. You know, Lord, I'm not the same person I was last year at all. I've changed a lot. So I think
I have a much bigger beard than I did last year. Like, it's way bigger. So clearly.
Wow. So
way
yeah,
different
but
person.
I don't know. I just think
never get carded anymore. It's ridiculous.
I don't, you know, it really annoys me whenever people don't card me. People have told me that I look old before, and I'm like, people are like, oh, you look like you're 25, 26, and I'm like, I am 22. Excuse yourself.
I think it's because you're tall.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the only reason why. I don't know why. I think that's the only reason why.
Well,
but that's just my opinion.
I don't know. I also am getting like smile lines on my cheeks, and I'm like, God damn it. I smile too much. I'm too happy. I know, I'm too happy. I'm getting punished for being happy.
That's really sad, actually, that you put it that way.
That is like the white people genes, like, cursing me.
Yuck.
Anyway,
all right, let's move on to better and more fun and uplifting topics. I planned this topic after that last one just because I feel like it's feel-good time. This dude put together. It was posted by Mags and some numbers, but it was posted on YouTube. Yeah, Mags. So I guess it's his Reddit name as well. Basically just a 5-minute compilation of people feeling good about fighting games throughout history.
That's great.
It's so good. It's just a good celebration of good moments within the FGC. You see, like, from like the Daigo Perry to L.I. Joe and his dad. Lots of tears happening. It's all good stuff. History of like Alex Valle and all that, it just all smashed together within 5 minutes, and it is heartwarming and good. And it's kind of just, there's young Arturo Sanchez, which is like, you forget how that dude used to look, and it's very good.
Oh my goodness, speaking of like that, I was doing a cosplay photo shoot with my friend Chris Trutex here in Colorado, and we were talking about the Toyota Yaris because I was like, oh my god, I used to have a Yaris. And he was like, oh, are you powered by Yaris? And I was like, what? Okay. This was in 2006, EVO 2006, and I was not in the FGC at that time. So I was like a baby. I was like, 2006, I think I was like 11? Mm-hmm. I was 11 years old. Yeah, that makes me feel so weird. Anyway, and he like showed me, he was like, yeah, I think if we go on James Chen's Flickr account, we can find all these old pictures. Went on James Chen's Flickr, and like, oh my goodness, everyone was such a baby. I was looking at these pictures, and I'm just like, oh, wow, we've come a long way. Yeah. It was a really cool experience. I liked looking at the pictures. So thank you, James, for your Flickr account. I appreciate it.
That's very funny. That's funny to think about.
It was a super fun time.
Thinking about like looking at this video of young Alex Valle's Uncle Valle's, like, it's very heartwarming and good. So if you need a palate cleanser, highly recommend checking out that video. It's by Mags. Okay, next topic. Something that we have been meaning to talk, and a lot of people have asked me on this opinion, something we were talking about before we hit record. But Cody, I think it's about time to start like placing Cody. I think we can place him like on the tier list. I think at least we've got a good idea of figuring out what he's capable of. His skills have basically been mined by the best minds in the FGC. The video that I'm going to link to is basically a breakdown from PAX, a Cody tutorial. Which is it basically goes down like, here's some anti-airs, here's some like combos and stuff, just in general some how to play Cody, and I'm the most part in agreement with him in that he goes over, here's Cody's anti-airs, here's Cody's walk speed's not that good, and his normals kind of push him a little too far out to make his tick throw game very good. So he kind of has to walk forward a little bit in order to tick throw. And I was in agreement with that. He's got a little bit about that power. He can steal some rounds from his V trigger too, and I think that is where he can excel occasionally. But I think that Cody is pretty solid. I think he's good in the neutral. Pax talks about that. In that his stand light kick is really good, and it's cancelable and combos into it. All good stuff. Do I have you on?
Yeah, I am here. I'm okay. So sorry. Yeah, Discord had a little woo moment.
Yeah, fuck Discord forever.
I think, well, it's better than Skype. Let's put it that way.
God, yeah.
I think Cody is super solid. I think he's new. He's like totally different, but he's also like callback to Final Fight, all that stuff. He has a lot of really good tools. Gut
check. He's not like old Cody, like at all in any way.
Yeah, like Street Fighter 4 Cody, nope. Alpha Cody, nope. Final Fight Cody, yeah, a little bit.
Hagar, I like kind of more Hagar.
Okay, but can we discuss how he was built for the female gaze or
those lines are leading down, and I'm into it.
I am You know, I'm just saying. I'm
that
not
pinstripe
complaining.
points one direction,
I'm
and I'm
not
okay.
complaining about the Hagar outfit. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, those chops point down in one direction, and I think you know what that's all about. I actually like. With that said, in terms of his costumes, I actually really like his prisoner costume.
I like all of his costumes. I think all of his costumes look great.
Prisoner costume being form-fitting and like it's actually weird looking at him that way because he's like super tall. Like his torso proportions are.
He's 6'1". He's not that tall.
But his like torso like his legs are like lanky long, and his like torso's like I don't know. It's like a weird look, but I like it.
I think he looks great. I like his hairstyle on that one too. Like I miss like totally like Ruffy and Cody, and they had his final fight costume too. It looks great in that one, and then you can make it all ripped and torn and stuff. That's crazy.
The one thing I don't like about Cody, and in fact, it almost ruins his entire visage, is I hate his stubble.
You don't like it?
I think his stubble's bad.
What is wrong with you? I like it.
I think he would look much better clean cut.
I usually hate stubble, actually.
Get a straight razor, guy.
The fact that I am saying his stubble is okay that means something.
That's
I
fair.
don't know.
That's fair to have that opinion. But
I mean, I hate Bison's beard or whatever the fuck they have going on in that one costume. It's
okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
So bad.
I can understand that.
So bad. Yeah. Anyway, I think Cody's great. I think he's most viable in V-Trigger personally, because he has all the tools. You know, you get your knife back. It's not like in Street Fighter 4 you could just pick it up. You know, it's not like Vega's Mask in that sense. You have to activate to get it, but you get like a whole different moveset.
I've seen a lot of interesting things with the knife in terms of how much advantage he gets from the knife.
Yes.
Like his crouching medium punch is ridiculous.
Yeah, like he gets a lot of range with it too, and then you get all these cool special moves, whereas like in Street Fighter 4 and Alpha, you just got like a knife. And you can't pick up the rock anymore, but you do get the rock with V-Trigger too, and the pipe and all that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen some. I think that in terms of V-Trigger selection, you're probably going to see a lot more V-Trigger too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it gives him that ability to somewhat steal rounds, not entirely, but like setting up the command grab or the rock setups is just somewhat very tricky for an opponent to defend against. And because of that, my heart's going to go with V-Trigger too, even though I like the knife. I
just like V-Trigger too because it's like an innuendo. Plus, it's called Dirty Coach. So I mean, come on. No, I'm just playing.
The beanbag man. What the hell is that name all about? Come on.
What? Oh, I know. And then he has like beanball. Like, what is beanball?
Are you talking about beans? What kind of translation?
I was like, this boy has a move called beanball. What? Oh, so funny.
Not okay with Japan. The names. Not okay with the names of those moves. Not okay
Japan.
With it. But I don't know. With that said, I think he's gonna be like upper mid tier at the end of it. The places where he lacks is like projectile management. I actually think he's kind of bad at that, unless he has V-Trigger 2 where he has the pipe. Just because he can't really.
With the pipe, you can like change how you do the projectile, which is really cool. Because like if you wait, like it's like a timing thing. Like if you hit it really early, it goes higher. If you hit it really like late, it goes lower, and you can do less like combos up. Like there's less juggle potential, you know, the lower that you hit it. So I think that is pretty cool. It's very nuanced, and I think that it leads to a bunch of crazy situations that are going to be really fun to watch. So I think Cody creatively is a fun character, especially in V-Trigger 2.
Yes. I think that you hit the nail on the head with that, and that he is a fun character.
Yeah.
It is hard to describe in exactly the ways that he is fun, but anytime I played him, anytime I've put hands on him, it's been fun. And I typically don't get that with many other characters in Street Fighter V, but with Cody in particular, I think it's fun. I actually like his projectile too. He's like kind of good at zoning. Like for being a slow moving character with, you know, limited ways to avoid projectiles, he actually has a really good projectile himself. I think his tornado shots are really good.
Yeah, that one's really good.
And like even with his anti-airs, like I mentioned this earlier, but his V skill is like the perfect anti-air. But if you think about it, his stand hard punch is also a great anti-air, and it's cancelable. So like you get an anti-air stand hard punch into a whirlwind shot, you've got your pressure right there, and you're good to go. It's like little things like that make him a little more nuanced, a little more fun. Give him a little bit more options in dealing with stuff.
I think that was like their thoughts going into it. It was like, first of all, let's make him sexy, then let's make him fun. Because, I don't know, the people, like, first of all, he was super hyped. Like, his release was the one that everyone was, like, foaming at the mouth for, aside from Sagat.
Yeah.
And so Capcom was like, okay. And that trailer was amazing. That was, like, one of the coolest moments in fighting games, I think. At least in modern fighting game history. It was a really cool moment.
Especially in terms of modern trailers.
Yeah, modern trailers. I think it was super, super cool.
Yeah.
So everyone was super hyped up about that. And now that we see Cody legal for tournaments, hopefully we'll see some Codys in some top 90, some top 32 maybe. That'd be really cool to see because that'll be super fun to watch. You know, I like character diversity and things. So the more strong characters we have, the better. You know, so that we don't have, you know, all Manots, all Cammys, all Abigails.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh yeah, how do you feel about his 4-hit target combo, by the way? I really don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like it.
Initially, I hated it. But then I came around on it. I came around on it because it's like, okay, if you start the target combo at all, he's punishable.
Yeah.
So it's like, you already have to confirm into it off of a crouching light punch or a crouching light kick, something like that. So like, because you have to confirm into it already, it's like, well, okay. But I mean, granted, it's one of those things where your opponent might not be ready to punish a light block string. So like, you might be able to get away with it, like that 1-2 instead of committing to the third hit, which is like super punishable. But I don't know. And again, it's one of those things I think is fun about him is that if he's in the corner, he's got his back to the corner, he can just hit you with a target combo, you're back in the corner.
Yeah.
Like that's really good, fun utility. That's just another thing about him that just makes him fun to play and easy to pick up.
I remember watching the Winner Stays On stream and I was like, wait, is that an auto combo? And I was like, God, please no. Then I was like, they would never turn out to be a target combo, so you have to put in a little effort. But I was still like, this is, please no.
Yeah, initially not okay with it, but like it doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. It doesn't get good Oki from it.
Yeah,
so like, there's little concessions about it where I'm like, okay, all right. I don't love it, but it does have pretty good utility.
It's part of him, and we love Cody, so...
you have to. You can't look at that face and just love the guy. He's just so lovable. Just so smoochable. Just want smooches.
You just want to have a big, long, wet, sloppy kiss.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of smooches. Okay, so anything else about Cody you would like to cover before we move on?
Oh, yeah, if you guys are interested in art of Cody or just Cody in general, totally follow Zonk Knuckle on Twitter.
Yes.
She's wilding out right now, but she does great art. She loves Cody, so if you want like some cool art, I think she'll be doing commissions at Evo as well. So if you want to get your Cody art on or like some cool Street Fighter art, follow her on Twitter and go to her table at Evo because she will have all the artwork.
That's at Zonk Knuckle on Twitter.
Yeah. Yep, she's so cool.
I'm trying to look. Is there any spaces or underscores on that?
It's actually not an L, it's an I, because her other Twitter account got suspended for a crazy reason. So it's like Zonk Knuckle, but not an L and a capital I. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The L is a capital I, but it's Zonk Knuckle on Twitter.
It's still Zonk Knuckle, yeah. And then you can also find her on Instagram as well.
And get some hot Cody in your life.
Yeah, get you a pinup.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Okay, moving on. Next topic. We got to talk about fighting EX Layer. Just a little bit.
I'm so excited about this game. I haven't bought it yet. I'm waiting on some invoices to process, but
neither have I. I haven't.
I'm going to buy the full thing because there's two different versions, right? There's the $40 version, which is the basic version. And then you get the $60 version, which is there to support the developers. So I think you get some cool things with it. But as far as I know, like you're getting like a deluxe version, and you get to support the studio because they're an indie studio. And to me, to see an indie studio with graphics that amazing and like gameplay that seems really engaging is super, super, super cool. And like me, I wasn't super into Street Fighter EX, but like seeing this, it looks like a better version of Street Fighter EX, and it has like the cool EX characters. And I'm a big fan of Alan Snyder, so I was like, oh my god, like I really want to play this character, and like everyone looks super cool. So I'm totally into it, and I really want to play it. And I'm really hoping that the scene gets big enough around it that it'll become a top 8 event. But who knows?
I don't know how the balance is. I've seen some kind of broken things with some characters that just deals a fuck ton of damage. But to be a little bit more clear, the normal version that you said, $40, comes with basically everything. But then
nice.
The standard edition only has one extra character and the Goji pack.
The Gogi pack. Which is like
effectively gems, kind of, in the way that
like Street Fighter Cross Tekken gems, but you can't choose exactly what you want. Like you could.
Yes,
like
it's not like.
It's like Yeah,
it doesn't seem. It's like I say the gem system, but like that's not really what this is at all. It's only like reminiscent of that, but really it gives you like different abilities. Like if you dash forward, you turn invisible, and it's like whoa, like that's interesting. Just weird shit like that.
So it's up to you to figure out which kind of deck works best with your character or however you want to play. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say exactly like MVCI choosing the stone, because like it's a little bit different.
It's almost like
it's like a CVS groove, you know? So like that's pretty cool. I think that it's neat. I think that it's kind of like the wild card, you know, like pick your character, but also like you gotta pick a Gogi. You know, like oh snap, and you gotta go through all the Gogi. So there's like depth to it in that way.
Yeah. I'll be very interested to see where it ends up in the next couple weeks. But
and it just anyone looks who touches beautiful.
See, that's okay. So that's the thing. When you say beautiful. Okay. I agree with you. Listen, I love the way it looks.
People who bitch about like the animations or whatever think it looks fine.
The people who bitch about the animations are wrong, because the animations are good.
If you want good animations, go play King of Fighters, whatever game that was.
They're good and precious because the way that the frames cancel are like with the hit stop is just so reminiscent of how almost exactly how it used to be, but like brought up to date to current standards, where it's like
exactly.
Oh, this is like and a PS2 game that like is good looking.
That is good. It was just like I love that feel, and like now it's just all 2D, and like it plays like just a better version of Street Fighter EX. And I was just watching Maximilian's review of it this morning, and I was like, I really want this game now. It just seems so great. It just seems so much fun. And like for me, it's hard for me to find a game. Yeah, exactly. And like for me, it's hard for me to find a game that like I love so much, because I like Street Fighter a lot. Mm-hmm. And like I think this game might be like my other game where I'm like, yeah, I like this game too. You know.
Mm-hmm. Anyone who's playing it, all reports are that they're loving it. So I don't have enough time after recording the show to put hands on it, but tomorrow perhaps. Busy tomorrow.
Please, if you guys are listening, please check out the game. Please buy the game. Please support the developers if you can. Like the more we buy it, the more characters that we'll get, the more cool stuff that we'll get.
Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing.
I want them to be wealthy and thrive.
They did kind of make an announcement that was like, if people buy it, we can make more, but like we don't know. We don't have plans. Like it's basically them being like, we don't know how much money this is gonna make. We would like to make stuff, but also,
I just think it's crazy how it started out as an April Fool's joke, and I was like, a real game, and I'm just like, that's like FGC love right there. Like that is love and passion.
Yeah, Twitter blew up with just Skullmania.
I know. If I don't see a Skullmania cosplayer at EVO this year, I swear to God, you guys have failed me.
Oh man, I hadn't even considered like
we need to do a sexy Skullmania cosplay, like a sexy.
If you're a budding cosplayer out there and you are looking for, if you have a Spider-Man suit that you think you can transition into,
just get a black morph suit and then paint a skull on it.
Sure, you could do that. Very easy. And maybe like get the whole lore into it, like maybe have like a briefcase, be like a 9 to 5 turned crime fighting Skullmanian. Oh man, so
good. Everyone loves it.
Super good, heartwarming for sure. So that was kind of the last topic that I had planned. I do want to just point out that if you are not following PDC Sky on Twitter, I highly recommend you do that. He's got this whole project going on of basically button layouts for all the Street Fighter V characters. Basically being like, this is plus this much on block or hit, or like the whole...
It is like a very simplistic visual way of seeing what I'm plus on, what I'm
It's a very good infographic for each character and their moves. He's been putting out like really good stuff like that in the past too. I've talked about his YouTube channel on this podcast before, where he goes through like the specific ranges of things on his channel, and like the effective ranges. But this is good. This is interesting to look at. Check out his Twitter and check out the latest threads that he's been posting, because it's all good stuff, and I just want to support him because that's looking at the work. That's a whole fuck ton of work, and there's no money in that. He's not making money by posting to Twitter.
I also love his header image. That is super cool.
Yeah. Super good. But those are all the main topics that I brought to the table. Jenny, do you have anything else you would like to add before we head into Shitpost of the week?
God, I don't think so. Oh yeah. Well, I just kind of wanted to do I guess this kind of this would be a good segue into the Shitpost. I don't know if anybody was watching Twitter and all the drama and stuff, but I made a tweet maybe a week before CEO or something.
Okay.
And I literally just said, and it was the most lighthearted, I wasn't seeking any kind of drama. I was like, the FGC has some pretty girls. And then MF Slayer came along.
Yeah, that was basically, okay. All right, I didn't know where you were going until right now. Okay, please tell this story.
So, MF Slayer retweeted and he said, "Not too bad, and day-to-day don't make top 8, ha 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 ha." And I personally thought that wasn't very funny. It's not funny whenever you make a joke about an entire demographic's skills at anything, because then you're just being sexist. You're not being funny. And apparently he's a cool guy outside of that, but I'm like, your social media posts are kind of telling you who you are. I don't know the guy. I cannot judge him. But it was funny to me that, everyone kind of ragged on him, whatever, he got dragged. It was, whatever. And CEO comes around, and he plays Infinity, who is a Poison Ivy Catwoman main, I think in Injustice 2. She's a super good player. And she is the girlfriend of Christian, Forever King. And she beat him in tournament.
In pools.
And that was a really... There's videos of it on Twitter, but that was like, oh, sweet justice. The
Twitter justice.
The Twitter justice.
Oh, man, the karmatic justice... It swung so hard and so fast the other direction. From that tweet on, it was just, oh no, this is not going to end well. And it ended in the most perfect fingertips way.
To me, it just came completely out of left field. I was just, yeah, we have a lot of pretty girls. We have a lot of really pretty cosplayers, pretty players, pretty content creators. FGC, to me, all the girls in the FGC are beautiful because, they all bring something to the table,
super innocuous tweet, hey guys,
it was super innocuous.
Let's feel good about looking good.
And then something had to derail it and make it completely negative and rude, and that was really uncalled for. And obviously, it hurt me to hear him talk like that about the girls in our scene. We have a ton of great girls who are super skilled and everything that they do. And so I was just kind of taken aback by it. But it's just as someone who's definitely mucked up before in major things, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So I just hope that and he seems like a cool guy outside of it. That's what everyone's telling me. I don't know him personally, but I just thought that was a funny little thing that happened. I was just wow.
I can't actually remember if I talked about this on mic with Romanova last week, but we did talk about at least the setup of that situation and who he is personally and how that tweet might not have represented him entirely as a person, but also he might have just been being a dum-dum.
Yeah, and obviously everyone says stupid things sometimes, and I did take it personally, and I think a lot of people did, and I think they were in the right to, because it's not a really funny joke. It's not. Yeah, it was a learning moment. But we've all had learning moments. None of us are free from sin. So.
Nah, me. I've never learned. Be dumb all day, every day.
Of course.
Be an idiot like me. That's how you become a winner, kids. That's right, like me. Your best friend, Joe Monday. Listen up, kids.
You're passionate about that.
No, I just felt like a pretty good thing to say.
Anyway,
let's correct. Continue. But yo, that was sweet karmatic justice.
I thought it was so funny because everyone that was around that setup was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, blow up!"
Doled out in the most sweetest of fashions, the greatest of ease. Okay, so that was awesome, but I can't share that as a shitpost of the week because that wasn't Street Fighter. Unfortunately,
it was.
However, what I can share is a fabulous clip.
Oh my god! Yes. So it was so funny. I had like CEO on in front of me, and I was doing my little writing thing. And excuse me, I just knocked my mic. And I looked up, and I saw Princess Slim taking out the lip gloss and putting it on in the most fabulous way in between the set. And I was like, so good. God. I was like, girl, yes, go off on them.
She got the nails. She got the belly shirt on.
I know, right? I was like, oh my god, you're just like killing everybody. Like, just, I'm done. I'm done. It was like iconic.
It was a thoroughly good moment, I felt. It was one of those things. I don't typically. I've kind of strayed away from sharing shitposts of the week because sometimes it can get a little down and dirty. But this one was just precious and good, and so much fun. Especially because like Princess Slim has competed in our weeklies and see them in the chat all the time. Don't know if they listen to this podcast, so. But regardless. This shit was thoroughly good.
That was like top 10 moments of 2018 so far.
Yeah, I would say so. You could see
Kubo's reaction.
Kubo's looking shook. Yeah, he's like, wait,
he's like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, here's your mix-up right now. What's good?
This is the real mix-up. Oh, that was great.
The mental damage alone, I can't even imagine.
I know, right? I would have been like, oh, excuse me?
In between the set? Hot damn. Had to look fresh. Nails looking good, too?
I know. Just like killing everybody.
All right. Well, that just about wraps it up for this week. We've been going a little bit long. A little bit longer than usual, but had a little teamwork this week. We had a little cross-tag battle right now. So, Jenny, in these final moments of the show, did I have that? Was that a little too final? Was a little bit too finality with that?
In these final moments, I was like, oh.
No, we're not ending the show forever, folks. We'll be back next week. But we're going to be gone in the next couple minutes. And because of that, I need you to pitch what you have going on and like where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in articles about fighting games, fighting game culture, feature articles, stuff like that.
Which you should be. Click on more articles and read them for a long time.
Yeah, we definitely need more content creation in the FGC. So if you guys are ever interested in what I write, if you want to look at my interview with David Lindholm, if you want to see any of my other stuff, you can definitely find me on Twitter as EXT0PD0LL, and the O's are zeros because I'm edgy. Mm-hmm. You can find me everywhere else as Ginny Lou, spelled Ginni, because my grandmother is strange and names me strange things. But yeah, you can find me on those platforms, and I write for a bunch of different outlets. Might be doing some work for another outlet that I thought I lost, so we'll be thinking about that soon. But yeah, you can totally find me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, good. So do you have a stream schedule set up yet?
Oh, actually, I did want to mention I will be doing a bi-weekly Street Fighter V lounge for the women of the FGC starting this Sunday. I cannot believe I forgot to mention that. This is really important.
Gotcha.
So if you do want to tune into that, it will happen on Sunday nights, every other Sunday night, from 7 to 12 Mountain Time. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll give girls enough time, like no matter what they are in the United States, to come in and play. But the goal is to just have a place where girls can kind of not really feel super pressured and they can gain experience. They can do it in an environment that's like, it's a bit more, like, I don't want to say, it's a bit more comfortable. And it's just a place to get experience and to have fun. And it will be streamed, and there will be you'll be able to donate to Combo Queens, which is an initiative created by Carolyn to kind of provide little events for women at major FGC tournaments. So if you guys are interested in that at all, you can totally find it on my Twitch channel, which is EXT0PD0LL on Twitch. So definitely check that out as well.
That's super rad. And remind me again, what days was that set on? Did you have that
this coming Sunday? I will tweet about it actually tomorrow. I'm going to put that on the agenda right now. But awesome. It'll be this Sunday from 7 p.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. So because I live in Colorado.
Great.
But yeah, that will be a thing, and I hope to make it, into a regular and big enough thing to where we can start having a tournament circuit, and then the winner of the tournament can have the donated funds, sponsored so that they can go to Evo or some tournament. So I'm hoping to make it a big initiative. So if you guys will please check that out, that'd be great. I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. That's really great. That sounds like a really great effort, and Combo Queens in general has been doing great work. So I'm all for that. Good shit.
Me too.
And that does it, folks. That's a show. Again, I'm your host, Joe Monday. You can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter or at RedditSF if you want to go through the official routes. And you can just find me anywhere on the sub, just Joe_Monday. But that's the show. You can find us here every Thursday at some time, depending on if it's recorded on Wednesdays or Thursdays. This one will probably go up late, so most people will be getting this on Friday morning. But you can find the tournaments, which speaking of tournaments, I am sorry I could not make it to the Monday tournament. Locked in at work for 16 hours. They wouldn't let us leave, so I couldn't make it back to from work. But even when I did, there was no power, so just the universe was like, no tournament today, please rest. And I did. But we'll be back with that every Monday, and you can look forward to the Friday tournament with Kamikaze Warrior for the West Coast. But that's the show, folks. Find us every Thursday. Take care until next time.